Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param. Om. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Om Ishwara. So we are covering the chapter dedicated to the gunas, and we have seen that the structure of the teachings of Krishna Guru. At first, he gave out the definitions, and then the second, that each guna. So sattva is a guna responsible for clarity, and the rajas for activity, and so on. Tamas is responsible for apathy and just depression and inactivity, laziness, procrastination, and so on. So, and then we have seen in which way they bound us. They bound us in a different way. So Rajoguna is going to bind us in a way that we want to have activity without which we feel very, very uncomfortable and miserable. And then after that, we have seen, so now let's figure out which kind of guna is dominating my own personality. So Swami often says it's not to learn that so that you can judge and analyze everyone's personality, but it's for our own inner work. So, and then the fourth topic, it was about what kind of consequence it has once we leave the body. So if we die with a very, very rajasic kind of personality, and then when we leave the body, so what kind of travel? So first, if I die with a sattvic, and then there is a certain traveling, which is towards the higher lokas, né? And then if I die with, in theory, this is a structure, a general kind of structure. If I'm mostly very tamasic and lazy and breaking the rules and violating the dharma right and left, and then I'm gonna travel to the lower lokas, and not knowing if I come back to this loka as a human being or just as a cockroach. So, and then the rajasic person is said to be traveling not up, not down, but vertically, meaning to say that it does not travel, if I understand it well, because it says it gets a very, very quick reverse. It's almost as if it stays in a kind of coma for maybe, in the Christian, I think philosophy talks in terms of purgatory or in a state of sleep before it comes back to. But this does not interest me. This is more esotericism, and the purpose of Vedanta. And my suggestion is that we work into self-inquiry and self-knowledge. And all of these talks about esotericism cannot be really validate in the sense our own experience. We cannot say, okay, I'm gonna leave the body and I'm gonna see what happened, and I come back on the same body and then I'm gonna know for sure how I'm gonna travel. So now once you leave the body, you don't come back to tell yourself anymore. So let's stay with which is mostly essential, more relevant to our sense of freedom. So I think we have covered the three topics, and then that took us to the somewhere here. Now we are going to enter the fourth topic, which is the topic, it's gati, the travel. Yeah, we still have to cover that. How we travel after death, I anticipate a little bit of a very short summary. Swami is going to present the difference between gati and and karma pala. Gati is a kind of result or consequence, but once we leave the body. And karma pala is a consequence while we're still in this body, because as we know, everything produces results, consequence. If we have a personality which is dominated by each one of these gunas, so we're gonna have uh, different results or consequence, or we're gonna reap, different kind of experiences as a sattvic person and while alive. So a sattvic person is a person who lives more peaceful in contemplation and so on. A rajasic person lives in a lot of agony because is all the time on the go and experience the ups and downs, the success and failures of life. It's uh, it's a very common lifestyle. Most people in modern societies tend to be more rajasic than anything. Structured society is made in a way that it wants to develop rajasic people, to go and produce and so on, go and run, enter into the rat race and go for it. And the consequence of tamasic is also known. But let's see how Swam is going to unfold. That's the topic we're going to be entering in with the verse 14th. If a person dies when sattva is predominant, then the person attains pure worlds belonging to the Upasakas of great deities. So the person is a kami-yogi, is a upasaka, is a devotee of some different gods or deities, and it's a way to see sattva manifesting as devotion, to deities. But sattva guna may be predominating individual soul, which is already beyond just devotion towards any one of these deities, So one can go beyond being a devotee of one deity, as we know, to be a devotee of Ishvara as the all names and forms, and then Vishvarupa Ishvara, or even a deity which is pure intelligence, pure sattva guna, holding it all in play. There are different ways you can be a devotee. And in any case, any one of these religious, spiritual person, which somehow have done a great deal of upasana, either direct to one name and one form deity, or somehow the totality of all names and form, because one's vision has amplified so that they start sensing the presence of the creator all over the place, is still into the saguna creator, of course. Otherwise, the person would be a yani or in the process. No? But what does it attain? It attains some higher locus, some celestial punya, as we know. When we leave the body, the scriptures say that. So, howsoever devotee you have been in this life, Krishna devotee or Vishnu or Shiva or anyone, or just Saguna Brahman, which is the boss. Saguna Brahma is the boss, and then there are all these deities which are also Sagunas. Okay, but for people who somehow enjoy the play of with personal deities and so on. So he says here the thy sattva is predominant, those pure, and then in Sanskrit there is a sattva gati. Sattva gati means sattva pradana purusaya marana anana da da da. So did you follow that, Lynn?
I think it means the path of a sattvically predominant person after death.
Okay. Okay, it's just Sanskrit repeating the same concept. This is the topic of this verse. Krishna says, Deha Briti means a jiva, a jivatma. Pralayan, he just left the body. Pralayano means here Maranan, not the deluge of the whole universe. Suppose a jivatma dies when yada sattvi, when sattva guna is dominant. And here we are talking about what kind of jivatma. So we talk about anyani, okay? So he's bringing here anyani or yani. So yani is also dominated by sattva guna. But now we are talking about leaving the body and continuing one's journey, going to a higher locus just to come back. If the individual soul, if the jivatma is very close, it's already very, very evolved, it's going to enter one of these celestial locus and then it's going to say, okay, I have been here before, you know. So let's make it short. I'm not very rajasic, but I want to go down to complete my journey. And so that I don't need to travel anymore. I don't want to travel up, but Shwara send me here. If you send me here, it's okay, but let's get into business and finish up the work. But it's said that we go into this travel. It's Yani does not travel, it's said by the scriptures. All the three bodies are dissolved here now, and he's one with the all-pervade ocean of Brahma. So this is a very, I enjoy this concept, this topic. And as you know, I take it as a natural byproduct of individual soul that recognize its true nature. And by recognizing it, it naturally and organically starts seeing desires dissolving and disappearing. So what brings us back to another rebirth, another birth, another lifetime here is our desires. Oh, the house I could not buy, the relationship I could not get, the fame and prestige as a guru I did not get, anything brings the person back because the person has desire. Okay. So now, Ayani, when it's really purified state, we see these teachings, even after self-recognition, literally sees desires dissolving, dissolving. And I'm saying, talking from my own experience, not from the books, as you know. And then what happens to the person? It does not have desires for life here and thereafter. Okay, up. So no, it's okay. I don't want to go up there. But it's so joyful. If I go there, I'm gonna have to come back. I don't want to go there. you know. So I'm done. I'm good, and there is no desire for pleasures because I know that pleasure brings about pain. Okay. So the natural positive disinterest, uninterest, or howsoever we put it, we say in the world of duality, is something that develops uh, indeed big time in the mind of the yani. So the yani is never going to travel downwards, but it could travel upwards if the yani is a half-cooked yani, to remind Ramji. If it's a half-cooked yan, maybe there are some some desires to be recognized as a great soul, as a Mahatma, as a guru, or anything like that. So the three bodies, they unfold within one another, boom, 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 and they go back to the elements. And the best analogy to this uh, phenomenon, as the scripture put it, is of the river. The river is coming down the the hills, the peaks, the mountains, and it is somehow it's being enjoyed by people dealing with agriculture or sightseeing and refreshing at the river or at the I forgot the name. The two sides of the river are called
The banks.
the banks of the river. Everybody enjoy, and then if you are a sacred river such as Ganges, né? Ganges, yeah? And then you develop that sense of importance. A great river. Yeah? You just imagine. So if Ganges was not really a self-realized river, and then being uh, adored by all these jivatmas, and then when it comes to merge into the ocean, it would have a problem. I'm such a great entity, and now I'm going to merge myself into the river and lose my sense of identity, individuality. So that is the best way to understand in which way the individual soul dissolves into the universal soul. So some philosophies put in terms of individual soul, universal soul, cosmic soul, overall soul, some other some philosophies. So you dissolve in a totality of Shwara. Yeah. And some people, for as long as one is still attached to the game of experiencing duality, one is going to resist that. Okay, I want to have more experience, and that's okay. But if the person said, no, I'm done. I have passed through the school here, I have graduated, I understood there is only consciousness, and I don't want to enjoy experience because experience brings pleasure and pain all the time. And the pleasure is not a perfect pleasure because the perfect pleasure is found in Atmayanam, which is not really a happiness or that kind of, thing, but it's also peace and contentment and wisdom. So if a sattva guna individual dies, what will happen? It will go to higher, pure lokas. Okay, punya pradana lokaha. You're gonna encounter a lot of different other souls dominated by this kind of sattva guna, and it's gonna find the happiness of celestial lokas. So it's described here and there in the Gita, in the Puranas, and we have to remember that this experience in those upper or lower lokas, they the individual soul is there only as a boka. I forgot. I'm a little bit rusty.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, but in Sanskrit, bo,
Bhakta, isn't it?
I think that's right.
yeah,
Bhakta.
yeah. I never forget this word, but now it came up. I forgot. So when we go to a higher locker, it's said that we go there only with our bhakta personality side. We have both sides of our personality, a bhakta and a karta. So I do actions and I experience the results. So when I do actions, I have to see what kind of attitude and if I'm doing it in a manner that it gives joy and peace to my mind and my heart, or if I'm doing it in a way that it's creating conflicts and tension. And when I receive likewise, I receive with an acceptance based on the understand that it's a perfectly designed system, and everything comes with the purpose of helping me to understand the pain. We grow through pain more than through pleasures, I would say. Favorable circumstance usually puts us a little bit more asleep, but when they are unfavorable, and then we have the possibility to reorganize our lives, reorient our lives, and and we always say thanks to Ishwara. So when we go into these higher lokas and lower lokas without this physical body, we're gonna go with our bhakta personality only. So what it does that say? I mean, I don't have my free will at my disposal anymore, I'm going there only to experience the results of the exercise of free will, which is only possible when we are incarnate in this material physical realm with a solid, tangible structure in which I can interact with my five senses in my mind, exercise my free will, and then I'm producing punya papa. I'm producing results, okay? I'm producing results through my actions, and I am getting the results while I'm still in the body. But then, as we know, we can never exhaust all our punyas, all our sanchitas, karmas. And then whatsoever is left, it's going to go with us when we leave the body. Right? So we're going to experience our own inner reality as enjoyer. And if we go down, we're going to be going with our sufferer personality, okay? So, because life is not only about enjoyment, no? Nobody enjoys suffering, but most people are planting actions that produce suffering. We cannot say that is enjoyer. It's more like a sufferer. A bhakta that experience papam, papam, papam. So like higher lokas such as Bhuva Loka, Suva Loka, Maha Loka, Yana Loka, and the higher lokas, and then Brahma Loka, you're gonna enjoy a lot of happiness, celestial happiness, as it's said in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Better world, better sense objects. Therefore, Krishna says, so this is interesting. Say it's a better realm of experience. It is a duality. When we go and we dream, we experience duality as well. In that duality, we're going to experience whatsoever is there, and it's all about the impressions we have collected through our interaction in the awakened state. And likewise, and we cannot change that. We don't have our free will at our disposal, not even in the dream state. Okay, we cannot change things. You go there, you're going to experience whatsoever is there matured as palan. The palan is going to come also in the dream state. So when we leave the body, again, connecting it again to the answer that Mark brought back to me from Swami Paramarthananda, we're gonna experience in one of these upper or lower locus in duality, within a duality, my wherever we go, we need a body. Okay, that's Swamiji explaining in many passages or instances. We go with a different kind of subtle body. I see it as a subtle body with different frequency of energy, and then we tap into one of these realms, and then we're going to experience that which is our inner kind of impressions that have produced punya, good results. And as we do it in the dream state, we're going to do that. So it says that we have a better body, it's a sattva body. We experience a better world, and we experience better experience, sense objects which produce experience. Okay. So I never know exactly what to make about this better world and better sense object, because the world here, although is experienced in duality objectively, is still a world produced by my punya, okay, my spiritual punya. And the way we do it in a collective manner with many other souls in the same kind of realm, experience also the same kind of punya, similar punya, is something that I could only speculate, okay? Because the scriptures and people in the field of esotericism and so on, they say that there you meet a lot of souls with that same level of punya or vibration, and then there is only love, and there is this, there is happiness and peace, there is all of that kind of thing. So how that reality is created, it could be just a collective dream of all these souls which left the body with a lot of spiritual punya, and then they kind of dream, a collective dream in which there is wonderful objects of experience, a wonderful world, because it's sustained by the collective consciousness of all these highly purified souls. Because this is what happens here. We experience a reality here, which is designed by the collective unconsciousness of the humanity. The collective unconsciousness, the money projects and sustains this mess we find ourselves in, So, and then that way it's a better world, so on. But the scripture says that we cannot exercise any free will to produce punya, and that means to say that sooner or later our punya up there is going to be exhausted, because if you spend your savings accounts without working, sooner or later it's going to be empty. And that's what the scripture says about any locus, because you don't have your free will and the possibility of producing more spiritual punya. No?
Well, then, Arlindo, does that mean that if you go to a lower loka, you use up your papa, and therefore when you're born again, you have a better mix? And that if you go to a higher loka, you exhaust your punya, and then you come back with a worse mix?
Yeah,
It so makes no sense to me.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Because
So why do we, yeah, so then where's the benefit of living a good lifestyle if you use up all your punya and then you come back and it's worse?
yeah,
I don't get it.
we see a lot of people that somehow contact souls in these upper dimensions, I had the opportunity to contact my mother more than once, and the souls staying there for a period of time, they describe that as a wonderful reality, and there is only love, and and this and that. And my mother used to give me even some advice and so on. So it's you're having fun, you enjoy yourself. But as you nicely put, Lynn, since you cannot produce more punya because there is no place for you to exercise. You see, in these lokas, it seems to me that from what the scripture says, and taking the parallel of our dream state, so you can't really be a doer of actions in a place in which there is no structure allowing that level of interaction in which you can choose what kind of actions you're going to put into the field. It's a wonderful world, okay, with a lot of better experiences, and you have a better or very subtle, refined body, and then you're going to have fun. You're going to have fun. Who does not like to have a nice celestial dream? So everybody enjoys a celestial dream, but only up to the point that you recognize that was an illusion. It was only a dream. Yeah. And I mean, our wonderful experience here in this world as well, giving happiness in this duality also is an illusion. Why? Because it has a beginning, middle, and end as well. So that is another level of the teachings, because here you're going to understand that it's not real because it's impermanent, it's changed from moment to moment, and you're going to begin looking for something which is absolutely permanent, something that does not change, something that's free from the tyranny of change. So we see it in the dream state, and according to the scriptures, I sense that it's more or less what it means from what I heard from Swamiji so far. Who goes to these higher lokas? Those sattvic great Upasakas. So it means what? Saguna Ishvara Upasakas. Ishvara Upasaka. It's saying that you go to these lokas as a devotee of Saguna Brahman. You don't go to these lokas as a devotee of Nirguna Brahman. If you go to a higher loka as a devotee of Nirguna Brahman, you may go, but only to Brahmaloka, because then you want to face the real big, right, deal, which is the boss, Nirguna Brahman. So if you are into Nirguna Brahman as your very nature, and if you don't completely establish yourself in Nirguna Brahman as Nirguna Brahman, you may even go somewhere, but not as a Upasaka, but as a Nididhyasaka, okay? Who wants to deal with the Brahman right there. Uttama Vidaha means Ishvara Upasaka. What type of Ishvara? Saguna, as we have anticipated. So those are Anyani, Saguna, Upasakas. These Upasakas will go to higher lokas. In simple language, Udava Gati, upward travel. How about Raja Pradana? We'll see now. Having died when Raja was dominating your mind, your body mind, one is born amidst those who are attached to action, like oneself. Likewise, having died with tamoguna, predominance, one is born in the wombs of deluded beings, getting lower births. So let's see this verse that we have travel of both Rajaguna and Tamoguna. So let's look at Rajoguna, which kind of travel. And pralaya gatva, it does not mean the pralaya in the sense we know it, the end of the cycle of manifestation. It's a different kind of having died, having left this physical body. Rajas means rajasic, pradana, blah, blah, blah. When Rajoguna is predominant, and having died, when Rajoguna is dominant, this person will be reborn. He is Anyani. Remember, and this Anyani, Rajoguna, Pradana, Purushasa, he will certainly be reborn where? Right here. Okay? In a loka in which people are given to run, do lots of actions. Karma, Pradana, loka, karma, action. What is the loka in which we can do actions? Our loka. Okay, we have all the structure of the body with 5 sense organs of reception, of actions, and the mind structure in a way to coordinate all these all these channels of reception and action into experience, hoping we can extract wisdom and maturity. Here Swam says, and in the Shastra, Karma Pradana Loka is Manusya Loka, our Loka, or Bhuloka Loka, or Bhuloka. The higher lokas are said to be the lokas of the for only Bhoga. Yeah? We can only enjoy or suffer. Let's see if we are going to say something different for the lower one. One cannot acquire punya or papa in the higher lokas. They can only exhaust their karma. Similarly, the same thing in the lower lokas, we can only be a bhakta, okay, or bhoga. So you exhaust punya or you exhaust papa. That is the how you say, the compassion of the Lord. So if you got to have too much papa karma, so we give you a possibility of going there and experience all the suffering you have caused not only to yourself but to others. In the fire of that suffering, you're going to purify, and then we give you another go. So to live and experience a duality as a bhakta and a karta, it's only possible here. Only in this manusya loka it is possible. And that's why we say the manusya loka is a very important and rare and should be highly appreciated because it's the only loka in which we can grow. The only loka that we can grow. Just imagine certain lokas that you cannot change anything, because you cannot make amendments to anything. You can only, reap the fruits of everything you have planted in your previous birth here in this loka, manusya loka. So here in this loka, we are not in the higher lokas and not in the lower lokas, we are in the between. No? So there are 7 above and 6 below. We are kind of in between. The person dying in this condition, extremely governed by Rajoguna. In Rajoguna here means to say materialism as well, people who do actions only for the enjoyment of the results himself, herself. So this is the archetype of a rajasic, purely rajasic person. Okay, success for themselves. And and then there are other people who have some raja but have some sattva guna, and then they produce different kind of consequence, which most probably take them to one of these immediate higher locus because it sacrifices a lot of its own efforts for the benefit of others, for the benefit of the Dharma field, and so on. So these highly rajasic people, that their travel is not vertical, not going up or down, but horizontal. Sattva-guna people will go up, vertically up. Tamaguna people will go vertically down. Rajoguna would be hovering around. That's another hint. Hovering around this realm, waiting to come back immediately. And that takes us into the concept of souls hanging out here and, trying to come back. They attach to the physicality of this realm. The middle loka called Manusha loka. Suppose a person dies, pralina means maranam, prior with stomach guna predominance. When a person dies, that person is reborn in a lower realm, lower planes. They get a lower birth, genimus. The lower planes can be defined as the lower locus. During Avani they will say Atala, even lower locus are there. Either the people will go to the lower locus, either the people will go to the lower locus, or even if they are born in Bhu-loka, they will not get Manusha Janama. So, okay, there is a lot of Sanskrit there, and I lost some meaning there. Who can help me?
I think mostly they're talking about the 7 lower lokas, and naming them, and I don't know if it's important that we know what those names are. But if you're they'll not get a human birth where free will and the intellect are, but they'll be born as animals.
They will not get this birth where free will are available, but they will be born as animals. Okay, now I got it.
Yeah, or even plants, they say.
Yeah, or even plants, yeah. So this is the case of some people who are extremely rajasic and violating Dharma and having terrible attitudes and so on. And they may get inferior births as animals or plants. Because this is another insight which is very important, because they did not do a proper exercise of their free will, either being extremely rajasic, losing its faculty of discernment and discrimination. They go about violating the Dharma all the time. So there is no exercise of free will, or if it is an exercise, is an animal-like exercise, the law of the jungle. I'm stronger, and then I take everything for myself. Okay, so they'll be born as animals, or they will be born as plants. Why? Because they did not really appreciate the free will, the Viveka Shakti that was given to him. If they did not, so Ishwara is not going to bother to give them a birth again, with the faculty of choice, discernment. Therefore, they'll be born as animals and plants. They will never have to make choice to acquire fresh karmas. And that is why they are called Mudayoni. Buddhi is not evolved, okay? It's a very rudimentary kind of Buddhi. And so they have a certain very, very rudimentary intelligence, low, very, very poorly developed, such as in the case of chickens. And that's why in the Gita class, you do not find any chicken coming to the classes. They have only boga. They only experience what life is present them with. They respond to the environment from that angle of survival, and they do not have free will to acquire karma. Therefore, muda. So does the gati of the three types of people also has been talked about, and that is consolidated later. So this is one of the vague areas when I try to make sense of this esoteric kind of teachings, is if animals, if they don't have any choice or exercise of free will, how they can get the merits of gaining a human birth. You understand? Swami Paramarthananda, in one of our previous class, it says that they have a certain free will there, but it's highly suppressed, okay? But they have a certain intelligence, certain, highly suppressed. And observing my chickens, I see that they have different personalities as well, So somehow, although they don't have enough intelligence to make conscious choice, positive conscious thoughts, they may have a subconscious intelligence that allows them to present better choice, such as not to kill a small little animal. I would say the babe chicken. How you call the babe pinchino?
Chick.
Chick. Not to kill a chick or two chicks just because they are smaller and you are stronger. Because I have seen all kinds of cruelties in my chicken group, So they may have a sensibility not to do that, and that may I would say reward them with human births. If you guys have any insight in respect to this area, which is a little bit vague for me, that's why. Yes, Mark.
I was thinking, wouldn't it work as it does above in the higher lokas, that the animals, people who were rajasic, who were born as animals in this manashu loka here, they would just be using up their papa karma again. And when that papa karma's gone, then they would be reborn as humans, perhaps, on this loka.
Yeah. So you're saying something that implies that you cannot go direct from an animal birth into a animal and human unless you came down from human to animal and then you can go back. But then how you got to the human birth first in the first case,
Yeah, well, I guess it's all about evolution, isn't it? I was thinking as well some years ago. I remember thinking about this topic and thinking the human population has expanded so rapidly and the animal population has depleted so much. It makes sense that there's a certain number of jivas, a finite number of jivas, which are just completely always reincarnating in different forms.
Yeah.
So
I heard this concept from Swamiji as well.
Well,
Because
okay.
sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Arlinda.
no, you.
I mean, does all this matter? I mean, I who can know? I mean, like some things in the Shastra, if you take them on board and they motivate you toward a better under, understanding
Oh,
of
my
truth.
computer's frozen.
Yeah. Oh, whose is, Mark? Okay. So if you get motivated toward more punya or for right action, it's all useful knowledge. But otherwise, other than the utility of motivating you toward a better path, who cares really? I mean, I don't. It's how can we know?
Yeah, but it's a topic that most people is curious about. It's a juicy kind of topic. I have never had interest to dig into this kind of esoteric knowledge. Some people do have, they get caught up with this, which is a great waste. But generally speaking, it brings about curiosity and a certain level of, oh, how is it when I leave the body, this and that. When we come to Vedanta, Vedanta says none of this matter. So all of this could be just more distraction. Now you're not only distracted with this physical realm, but also with the thereafter realms and so on. It's just more distraction.
That's where I'm coming from. Thank you. But really valuable to understand how the gunas operate in this life
Yeah,
as the jiva lives. But past,
everything has its relative value, you know. Even the teachings about guna has a relative value because you're going to understand better your human nature, in which way unconscious, subconscious, you are governed by your vasanas. And then you may try to cultivate new vasanas and so on, being more conscious of your unconscious partners and mind. But when we come to the final steps towards self-recognition and freedom, and none of that matters, because as Ramji used to love to say, I don't care because I'm not my vasanas, which can be said to a certain degree, you know. But if the person is extremely rajasic, if the person is not really a sharing person, but more like a taker, and it has an epiphany or something and says, I'm not the self and I don't care because I'm none of my unconscious mind, I'm none of my vasanas, I'm none of my attitudes and pattern because I'm consciousness. A lot of people want to make a clear cut to that. But then it's important to understand the gunas, understand the unconscious mind of the jiva, and so on. So some people they like to even look and see, out of curiosity. The fact is that these teachings about these things, it's fun to look into it, and it stimulates one's intellect to try to speculate and try to understand based on some degree of trust in the scriptures as well. But it's not relevant as far as self-knowledge. Verse 16. In this verse, Lord Krishna comes to the fifth topic, and that is the palan for the predominance of each guna. Say that the result of sattvic action is pure sattva, pure punya. The result of rajasic action is sorrow, whereas the result of tamasic action is ignorance. Okay. So he is just wrapping these things up. Now this sloka talks about palan. What is the difference between gati and palan, as I mentioned at the beginning? So palan, karma palan is a result of our actions while in this body, in this realm. Gati is the results thereafter. afterlife. Consequence after death, palan is the consequence while I'm still alive here. So sattva is predominant. What will be the consequence here now, not up there, but here now? What is the palan for me? What is going to be the nature of my sanchita? You know. Similarly, if rajas is predominant, all the three are given in this verse, the three gunas predominance, and we want to know what kind of palan we're going to get. When such a person undertakes activities, that we have to read a small rearrangement instead of reading he had to move a little bit the words in the verse to make better sense. When a scientific person undertakes activities, they are good in noble activities. You see, scientific person also, undertakes activities. That's why he is still a karta and a bhokta. But they are good actions. They are noble activities. The palan is going to be punya, sukham or sukritam. Punya, spiritually elevating that which will promote peace, balance, tranquility. So that's the nature of a sattvic mind, And the person, it does not mean that you have to live in meditation, contemplation all the time. But your mind needs to face life and interact with the duality and see if I have a sattvic mind, so it's going to be promoting peaceful experience, balance, tranquility, wisdom, which is nirmala. Nirmala means pure freedom from stress, freedom from tension, freedom from desires, fears, anxiety, frustration, and the problems of samsara. So that is the reward, that is the benefit, that is the punya palan of a sattvic mind while living in this world. And if you have a mind which is balanced and free from excess of fears and desires, but experience the freedom from stress, peace, shanti, the freedom from tension, freedom from anxiety. Of course, we're going to present more and more actions of the same nature, or even better nature, because we have a mind that is good to interact and observing Dharma and presenting actions which are going to be purer and purer. In fact, in the very presence of such people, you can tangibly feel the peace of the person. You can see, you go to certain places which are very sattvic, you can feel the peace. It's tangible. If you go to certain houses, you can feel the tension all around, and we don't like that energy. We do not know when the flare-up will come. It's like walking on the a ground full of mines. It may explode anytime. There will be conflicts and violence and so on. Flare-up will come. It will be like unsettling. Therefore, Krishna says, so when sattvic person deals with the interactions with life, you can see harmony and peace. Where the house will be a home. So, and then the house of such a person is worth saying, home, 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 sweet home. Otherwise, it's home, hell, 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 sweet hell. In fact, that's called home. There is an understanding. There is love. There is love there is consideration, there is harmony, there is compassion, there is peace. That's called Nimalam Palam. Whereas when a person is a rajasic person, naturally there will be conflicts and activities. The problem is there is tension, expectation, frustration, irritation, anxiety, stress. There is strain, intolerance. And where there is this kind of energy, there is neither physical health nor mental health, peace. The body-mind is one single integrate organism. And if we live in such an environment, your physical body and your mental body are going to be affected. There is no other way around. In Mithya, everything is affecting everything else because it's energy and vibration. Therefore, Krishna says, Braja Satu Param Dukam, whatever transactions that take place among Rajas people, you can find there is stress and strain. Just to finish up this topic. Now, there is a lot more coming here on the rajasic person and tamasic person. Okay, let me just sign it here. You guys want to meet tomorrow or tomorrow is no good? Otherwise, we meet Friday or Thursday and Friday.
I'm afraid Wednesday and Thursday are not good for me.
This,
I can meet
this Thursday?
Yeah,
And how
too
about,
much going on.
and how about tomorrow?
No, for me, not until Friday.
Okay, Wednesday and Thursday, no, until Friday. Then we meet again on Friday, okay?
Thank you.
Good for me as well. I have a lot of things to catch up here. Okie dokie. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Om Shwara Namaste. We meet again Friday, this coming Friday.
So happy to be back with you all. Thank you, Garlindo.
Okie dokie. Hug you.
Likewise. Thank you, Alinda. God bless everyone.